that conversation before we go. We want to now cross live to our city center studios and speak to my colleague Doreen Biira, who is standing by with yet another guest, just to bring us up to speed on yet another perspective on this conversation. Joy, what do you have for us?
Well, thanks a lot, Peter. And as you have already mentioned, we are paying some special attention to what is going on at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. But would now like to speak to the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Authority Secretariat, that is Fred Oanda, who has actually mentioned some of the challenges that they experience with technical training or technical and vocational training in the country today. One of them happens to be financing. Fred, thank you so much for joining us. When you talk about financing of technical and vocational training institutions, we have most of the funders coming from outside of Kenya. How do we ensure that we get enough support from both the government and, the private sector in the country?
Thank you, Joe. One of the key objectives of the government is to make sure that TVET is being bankrolled or financed. And TVET financing is very expensive. The reason being that to get the state-of-the-art training equipments that match what is industry needs a lot of money. And therefore, the government cannot go it alone. So the effort is being made by the government, such as what is happening now currently at the conference, where we are bringing all the stakeholders, including the industry players, the development partners, plus the government itself, so that they discuss and make policies on how they can assist in financing TVET.
All right. When you talk about financing TVET, would you be able to estimate just about how much the vocational and technical institutions would need to at least function at a satisfactory level?
Okay, if we have talked about, like now currently the budget that was given to the ones in the Ministry of Education, that is about 2.5 billion. And that is not enough. We also remember that there are other training institutions in other about 15 line ministries, which have also their separate funding, not factored in the Ministry of Education budgets. So you expect like 10 to 20 billion Kenya shillings if really we have to facilitate or finance TVET effectively in the ministry itself. But you remember that also TVET is being offered by non-government organizations, the private sector as well, and other Kenyans who are assisting the government in terms of funding TVET.
All right, so when you say 10 to 20 billion, that is on a yearly basis?
Yes.
All right, let's talk about partnerships. When it comes to these partnerships, I know that there are quite a number of international organizations that have partnered with local technical and vocational training institutions, but is that enough? Is there more we can do locally to ensure there are more partnerships to help equip our young people with the skills that they need to be able to meet the demands in our market space?
Yes, there is a lot that we can do locally, and one of it is like organizing the current conference that is going on. Because the key issue with the current conference is to make sure that we sensitize our Kenyans, we sensitize our local partners, and we bring awareness to Kenyans the importance of TVET in making this country achieve Vision 2030. And therefore, to do that, we have to sensitize Kenyans. And we thank you, the media, also, because you have come in a big way to help us sensitize Kenyans and also the parents and prospective trainees.
All right, but besides the sensitization, how can, say, the private sector in Kenya play a role in ensuring that you get the support that you need?
Okay, one of the ways that the private sector can do that, can play the role, is like, you look like on, was it on Tuesday when the Equity came in? They are continuing to sponsor the students, they continue to sponsor right from Form 1. Now, those who didn't make to university, they are taking them to vocational training centers. So you also find that there are other partners or private sector which are also doing the same, who are doing that kind of funding. So that goes along in line with what we are doing today. Apart from Equity, there are other private partners, including development partners from other countries, yes, which are assisting us. Either you can do it in terms of giving us training equipment, you can do it in terms of sponsoring trainees to our institutions. And remember, even the county government, some of them are sponsoring their students from their counties to our training institutions. So That's why we are doing this, and everybody is requested to come on board.
Right.
Yes.
Great. So, Peter, there you have it. We need about 10 to 20 billion shillings every year to be able to satisfactorily finance technical and vocational training in the country today. And as we all know, our curriculums also have to be reviewed to make sure they train students to gain the skills that they need to meet the market demand in the country today. Our economies are growing at an average of 5% in sub-Saharan Africa, and it would be unfair if we had the bigger percentage of our population not knowing exactly what they should do with the skills that they have acquired from university. And that's where the technical institutions come in. So there's quite a lot of potential that these vocational institutions portray to both the workforce and the government as well. Back to you, Peter.
Well, indeed, thank you very much there, my colleague.